Welcome back to Antique Overland. In this episode, we're going to look at another interesting piece of early camping equipment, the Basford Camp Stove. This is one of the more complicated histories we're going to share, as it involves two very established businesses in two very distinct cities and states. So let me attempt to shed a little more light on the otherwise obscure history of the Basford Camp Stove, one of the most efficient camp stoves in our collection. Let's start with Hugo Manufacturing Company of Duluth, Minnesota, founded by Rene T. Hugo. Hugo was a native of Owen Sound, Canada, who had immigrated to Duluth, where he was subsequently educated at the University of Minnesota. During World War I, he was commissioned a lieutenant commander in the U.S. Navy, where he was sent to Schenectady, New York to supervise electrical supplies being made for the government by General Electric. As president and general manager of Hugo Manufacturing Company, Hugo oversaw the principal maker of industrial appliances in West Duluth, Minnesota. By June and July of 1923, Hugo and his business associate Fred G. Klinert had applied for 2 patents and assigned them to Hugo Manufacturing Company. Those patents were for a vapor-generating burner for a stove and a complete portable camp stove, which were granted in 1925. Hugo, however, died in June of 1924, well before he could see either of his patents put into production. While Hugo was working in Duluth, Harold Robert Bassford was working away in San Francisco on his business H.R. Bassford, which he had founded in 1905. Bassford was both a manufacturer of water heaters and industrial tools and a representative or agent for other manufacturers in and out of the industrial commercial market. It's circa 1917 where we see the first possible connection between Bassford as a business agent and Hugo as a manufacturer. In July of 1917, Bassford and Hugo are listed as tenants in the same San Francisco building. I can only extrapolate as to what might have furthered their commercial connectivity. At the very base, it's that they're essentially in the same business circle. H.R. Bassford was producing water heaters and tools, while Hugo was manufacturing radiators and ventilators. It's not a huge stretch. The other aspect to their connectivity, again I'm extrapolating, could come from their interest in camping equipment. Bassford was well known to work hard and play hard. As a member of several civic and professional associations, including Rotary and the Pacific Coast Gas Association, it's possible that he had a professional connectivity with Hugo Manufacturing through his professional network, even beyond their physical proximity. If business didn't keep Bassford busy, he was at one time president of the California State Automobile Association, the founder of Ducks Unlimited in the West, and a board member for the American Automobile Association, and an all-around avid sportsman as a member of several hunting and trap clubs. He was an avid conservationist and the president of the Fish and Game Development Association. The outdoors were obviously more than just a passing interest to Bassford, as his first camping patent was granted in 1918 for a folding camp table. The patent would be subsequently followed by several more camping-related patents, including a 1923 patent for a folding camp bed, a 1925 patent for a different folding table, a 1926 patent for yet another folding bed, and a 27 patent for a set of stove legs. It's my belief that there is enough extant evidence to make a solid argument as to Hugo's and Bassford's connectivity through all 3 areas of connectedness: industrial manufacturing, physical proximity, and an interest in outdoor recreation. I think it's fair to say that Bassford's prominence in all 3 of these areas made him an obvious choice to market the stove that Hugert and Klinert had patented in 1924-1925. So what of the Bassford stove? Well, it's just about as complicated and almost as obscure as the history behind it. The Bassford was made in Duluth by the Hugo Manufacturing Company and represented by Bassford. As far as I can tell, Hugo was the only direct distributor outside the Pacific Coast. Most of their advertisements included a Write To section where you could send a letter directly to Hugo to make your purchase through a retailer in case your local retailer didn't carry the stove. The marketing was genius and evidently very truthful for what amounted to a low production volume stove from 1925 to probably no later than 1928. There are a few remaining 1930s advertisements for the Bassford, but in reading through them, it appears as though the retailers had slashed prices so considerably that they were trying to get rid of dead stock. The stove itself appears nearly identical to the patent held by Hugo Manufacturing Company. In researching for this video, I found that the original stoves came in 3 sizes, number 0, number 1, and number 2. Those came with or without the attachment the company advertised as the gas saver oven. At some point, I believe circa 1927, the stove gets renumbered and some design changes must have been implemented, though they aren't called out individually in the advertisements. The updated versions came with updated numbers, bringing their new numbering to 7, while still only offering 3 versions of the stove. According to the advertisement, the tank, generators, and burners were rigidly assembled in one unit, and that a wide-spreading, intensely hot, quick-generating flame eliminated all possibilities of cool centers when cooking. They go on to claim that the stoves have a rigid, permanent assembly of burner, manifold, and tank with which you can't go wrong, and only takes a moment to set up anywhere. They claim that the assembly keeps burners exactly in line with the generator, ensuring perfect combustion, that the wide, steady, blue flame burners distribute the heat evenly, and that it was a very strong and compact stove, easily folded to clean, light to carry, made in 3 sizes with or without a stand or a gas saver oven, and that it burned gasoline fuel. So why did Basford stoves disappear from the market? Your guess is as good as mine. If they worked half as well as ours does 100 years later, they should have been in high demand. My only thoughts on this are that the business relationship between Bassford and Hugo changed. Sometime during their association, circa 1926, Basford opened a second company, the Basford Camp Equipment Company, which may have contributed to their parting ways. Basford's venture into the camp equipment market appears to have been short-lived, however, as the company disappears from directories by the early 1930s, though he did continue to market folding furniture during that time. So what happened to Hugo and Basford? For Hugo, it's a little tough to tell. If anyone out there in Minnesota knows the answer, let us know in the comments. They ceased to appear in any listings that I could find after the mid-1940s. As for Basford, he continues to contract and act as a business agent, taking larger and larger clients, such as Zenith, and promoting events supporting Marlene Dietrich well into the 20th century, until he's finally bought out entirely by Zenith. Let's light our stove. Please remember not to light your camp stove inside your house. It can be extremely dangerous. We live in a very drafty Victorian and light our house with liquid fuels pretty regularly, so felt comfortable doing this for a quick video, but please don't light your stove in your house. What's the moral of this story? For me, it's to always keep an eye out for a Basford stove. They certainly seem to do everything their advertisements promised, and in my case, they have an interesting California connection which I like. Thanks for watching this episode of Antique Overland. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up, and as always, hit the subscribe button, and if you want to see more of our adventures, ring the notification bell. Thanks.